Welcome to the Retro Wolf Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, aka Retro Wolf 88, and I'm joined by my awesome and badass co-hosts from Retro Gaming Pandemic on YouTube, being Eric and Jared.
What up,
Gentlemen,
what up?
how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing
pretty.
great. I'm doing good too, because I don't know if the YouTube world can see this real quick. Let me block my face out of the shot. That, my friends, is a Mew Oreo. And I just want to say, everyone out there,
the $10,000 Mew Oreos. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh, shit. You just ate it?
It's old and stale. It's been sitting for a few weeks.
Oh,
oh my God. It's soggy.
Ooh.
It's a soggy Oreo.
Soggy Oreo. That was my nickname in high school.
No milk or anything, Eric. You just went for it.
He took it dry. He took it dry down the throat.
Yep. Oh my God.
Damn, Eric,
like
that's
cardboard.
brave.
I can't believe people were like actually selling those Oreos for thousands of dollars. It's absurd.
Dude, look at the world we live in, Jared.
Very true.
The world we live in is just absurd all around, man. So, anyways, guys, glad to have you here co-hosting with me on the podcast, and I'm glad to hear that everything's going well. And everybody, if you're not familiar with Retro Gaming Pandemic, please be sure and check out their YouTube channel, which is just Retro Gaming Pandemic on YouTube. They've got a lot of awesome content. What was the video that you released this past Friday, Gus?
So last video we did was actually part one of our Tennessee trip, where we actually got to spend the weekend with Retro Wolf. And it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Labor Day weekend, and we went to a bunch of flea markets and video game stores and ate so much food. My stomach still hurts from it. It was a blast. But yeah, we just dropped part one, and we're going to drop part two in a week from tomorrow. So
sweet. So what video is dropping tomorrow?
So tomorrow, we are also a lot of podcasts in here. I see Nerdy Over 30 join the chat. What's up, boys? So tomorrow we're actually doing our podcast for the channel, the Cup of Retro show. We do it more like a talk show with a couple friends that we've grown up with our whole lives. And tomorrow we're going to try to answer the question, should we keep remaking retro video games?
It's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, I'll be interested to see that conversation. And that's going to be tomorrow at what time?
So normally our videos are Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but tomorrow with the podcast, we're going to do 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
Sweet.
Try to catch everyone on the lunch break, and for the people out in California for the start of the day. So
you know what sucks, though? You picked a bad day to drop that, because tomorrow you've got some competition. You know what that competition is? Not only is Halloween Kills coming out tomorrow on HBO Max, but You Season 3 drops tomorrow, man.
I will be binge watching that all of tomorrow night. So.
Me too, dude. I'm going to be all over that, and Halloween Kills, because I just watched...
I'm not even familiar.
Oh, dude, you got to watch You, Jared. It's amazing.
You?
It's amazing. Dude, it's amazing. Basically, Jared, without spoiling anything, it's about a guy that is a stalker, and he gets attached to a particular woman and just obsessively stalks her, and he's an absolute psychopath. So that's the general plot of the show, and you kind of follow his
I love that Eric was surprised I'd never heard of that show. He's like, wait, you've never seen that
show
before?
It's one of the most popular besides like Squid Game and Bridgerton. You is like,
which are two shows I've never seen. I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet.
Oh my God,
dude, take it from me, Jared.
Okay.
I know my opinion means more to you than Eric's.
Oh,
so
100%.
Take it.
100%.
Nice. And then I'm also very excited for Halloween Kills, because I just recently watched the new Halloween movie, which is a direct sequel to the very first Halloween movie. And I liked it quite a bit. I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to see where they take it, because they're making it a trilogy.
Okay.
I was going to ask you, for Halloween Kills, do you need to see the previous movies at all to get the gist of it?
You probably should, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, You don't have to watch the very first Halloween movie. You can go on YouTube and just watch a synopsis of it. But I would watch the one that comes. I would watch the 2018. I think it came out in 2018. 2018 or Wolfellow can correct me in the chat, but I'm pretty sure that the Halloween movie came out in 2018 or 2019. So I would watch it. It's definitely worth watching. And then the new one looks like it's going to be insane.
I've seen the original one. That's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Just the
original Halloween.
Yeah, the fact that I know we're getting sidetracked here, but the fact that when they film it, you just see Mike Myers chilling in the background, like it's it's like a look and find, but a movie. It's great.
One of the VHS tapes I actually got in that lot yesterday was Halloween.
Oh, nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so the idea behind the 2018 Halloween movie is they're ignoring all the other Halloween movies, and this movie is a sequel to the original, the very first movie.
Okay, so I just got two movies.
Yeah, and everything else is just axed. It's not part of the, and they're making a trilogy out of the new movies. So after Halloween Kills, there's going to be one more. So yeah. Pretty excited for that. What am I hearing in the background?
You're hearing actually Macho Man Randy Savage.
Tell Macho Man Randy Savage to shut the fuck up.
Our special guest tonight.
Oh man,
Macho Man Randy Savage needs to stop talking.
Manners, Randy.
All right, guys. What have we been playing lately? With the exception of Metroid Dread, because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But besides Metroid Dread, what games have we been playing lately? Eric, start us off.
So for starters, not necessarily what games I've been playing, but what if I've been playing them on? And I was one of the fortunate ones who got the Switch OLED.
I'm jealous.
Dude,
that thing is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I was on Instagram earlier. Let me put this thing back. Gotta be careful I don't break this thing. I was on Instagram earlier, and Retro Hunters said that it's blowing his mind right now how amazing this console is, and I was going to comment on it, but I thought it was creepy that it's blowing me in other places.
Oh,
so what makes it so amazing, Eric? Like, why are you so impressed by it?
It's definitely a handheld upgrade. It looks incredible. God, come on, TV, get smart with it. It's a handheld upgrade. So the screen, the colors are more vibrant. The battery lasts way longer. I mean, I was playing Dread, I think, for like 6 hours nonstop, full brightness, and I wasn't even at 50% battery life.
Okay.
Matt, did we lose you? So
he'll be back.
He was so mad about me talking about the OLED. He had to go punch a hole in the wall.
No, I decided to cover my vent because the air was, I could hear it too much. It was too loud. So I'm going to sweat my ass off. Yay for me. Anyways, continue.
I'll be there with you, man. So, but honestly, dude, my favorite part about the OLED is the white color. It's real pretty. Yeah, it's real pretty, man. So I've been playing a lot of that, obviously Dread, which we'll get into. I also picked up, man, and on the episode tomorrow, we'll talk a lot about remakes and remasters, but Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania for the Nintendo Switch, the Anniversary Edition. It comes with Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and the Deluxe Edition all in one game. It's also got a crap ton of party games on it, so if you're a fan of like Mario Party style fun, this game has it. And I've been playing that. I didn't really, besides the first one on GameCube, play too much of it, so it's nice to go back and revisit a classic.
Is there any like online play with the mini games, or is it just solo, like local play?
I think so. I thought it's either online, just leaderboards where you can compare your scores to others, or there is. I can't remember, but there's definitely multiplayer locally. So, hey, maybe when you guys are, everyone's in town. I know Matt's coming up in a few weeks to visit. Maybe we can play. You guys can play with my balls.
Oh God, you just went there.
I mean, if I get bored enough, I'll play with anything. I'm just saying. Wait, what? Anyways, before we talk about what you've been playing, let me give a few quick shout outs in the chat. Shout out to Robert Talon. Shout out to 8-Bit Fellow. Shout out to Rich 90856. Shout out to Nerdy Over 30, which they also have an awesome podcast that you should check out. You can just search out Nerdy Over 30, and I'm sure that will pull up their channel. Shout out to my moderator and
Boo.
Boo, what? How dare you, Eric?
He's always trolling me.
Listen, hey, trolling is fun. And shout out to GameCube Galaxy. Which, by the way, everybody, before we get to what Jared's been playing, I do want to say we are going to have a special guest that's going to pop into the podcast probably sometime around 8:30. Once or whenever we get to the topics after Metroid Dread, we're going to have a special guest that's going to pop in and discuss those topics with us. So, yeah, very excited about that. Anyways, Jared, what have you been playing, brother?
What have I been playing? Well,
besides yourself.
yes. I mostly just play with myself. That's my main game. But
with the Power Glove, right?
With the Power Glove. No, I'm joking. But I mean, it's Halloween season. It's October, so I always try to play as many like kind of spooky, scary horror games as possible. And I wouldn't even say like all the cliches, like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. But I've been playing a lot of Splatterhouse. So nice. I have Splatterhouse 2 and 3 on Genesis. So those have been kind of like the beat 'em ups I've been focusing with right now. And then I've been picking up a lot of rare Super Nintendo and Nintendo games too. So I just got Mighty Final Fight. I got Final Fight 3 for Super Nintendo as well. So I've been just started kind of playing through those games. What else? Of course, Metroid, but we're going to talk about that later. And I still go back to Cruise and Blast here and there too.
It's fun.
It's such a fun arcade racing game, and the levels are just like they're crazy. There's so much to them. So it's a quick game to beat, but it's a lot of fun, especially playing multiplayer.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dude, as usual, I'm always playing a lot of shit. So, obviously Metroid Dread, which we're going to talk about. I've also been playing Cruise and Blast. Absolutely love it. One of the best racing games I've played in a long time. Me and Wolfellow have actually been playing it together. What we're doing is we're playing the single-player racing mode and just swapping the controller back and forth, trying to get the gold medal and unlock all the cars and all that good stuff, get all the keys. So much fun, man. Love that game. And I got the physical version of it, which I have a feeling that the physical version of that game is going to be hard to find at some point in the near future. I feel like they didn't print very many copies of it because I had to get it on eBay. It was sold out on Amazon. I couldn't find anybody selling it on Amazon, so I had to get it on eBay, and I had to pay a little bit more than retail for it, which I don't mind because it's a great game. What else have I been playing? I've been playing Deathloop on the PlayStation 5. Deathloop is fantastic. Such a fun game.
Looks great.
Yeah, I heard great things.
Yep, it's great. I feel like I'm almost to the end. I feel like I'm getting really close to the end of that game, but I am loving Deathloop. Also, I've been playing... of course, I'm always playing something for GameCube Gallery, so I've been playing Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Nice.
I'm going to be doing a GameCube Gallery episode on that for Halloween. So, as a matter of fact, I think that episode's going to drop on Halloween. Halloween's the 31st, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think on a Sunday.
Yeah. So that episode of GameCube Gallery is going to drop on Halloween. That's pretty awesome. Also, I've been playing the hell out of my modded Game Boy Advance.
Me too. Me too.
Dude. I just recently played and beat Castlevania Aria of Sorrow on the Game Boy Advance. Such a fantastic Castlevania game. And now I'm playing Advanced Wars. I've never played Advanced Wars before in my life, and I'm loving it. I'm loving Advanced Wars.
Dude.
So yeah, I think that's all I've been playing. I don't think I'm missing anything. So a lot of good stuff.
So are you going to pick up the Advance Wars 1 and 2 on the Switch?
There's a pretty damn good chance I'm going to pick that up, yeah.
It's that was I saved both Jared and I's copies from when we were kids.
He did?
So yeah, I gave Jared his copy last year. He came over and I was like, hey dude, I got all these Game Boy Advance games that I held on to. So
hell yeah, man. All right.
They're so fun to play on a modded Game Boy too. It's like a whole other experience.
Yes, with that backlit screen.
one.
Dude.
Amazing.
Eric, if you ever want one, dude, I'll mod one for you. You buy the parts, send it to me. I'll mod one for you. It's an extremely difficult. Actually, I think they just released a screen. I think they just released a backlit screen that doesn't require any soldering.
Okay.
I need to look into that, because the one that I got, I had to solder it in order to be able to adjust the brightness. You don't have to solder it. You only have to solder it if you want to be able to adjust the brightness levels, which of course I did. So, and that was the first time I'd ever done a soldering mod, and it turned out pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. Anyways, so let's jump into one of the main topics in the video, and that is Metroid Dread. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start us off on this one. So I actually beat Metroid Dread yesterday, and not only did I beat it, but I 100%ed it, and it took me right at 12 hours to beat it and 100% it, and it was just such an amazing 12 hours. Like I was telling you guys, and like I posted on social media, not only is Metroid Dread my favorite, it is now my favorite 2D Metroid game ever made, beating out Fusion, because Metroid Fusion was my favorite prior to this. It's also easily one of the best games I've played in 2021. Easily one of the best games I've played this year. It is freaking fantastic. There's been a lot of hype behind it. People seem to really be loving it. It's got great reviews. It seems to be selling really well, which is great, because historically, games in the Metroid franchise don't typically sell that well compared to other Nintendo franchises. So we really need Metroid Dread to sell well to secure and solidify the future of the Metroid franchise. So from what I understand, it has been selling good. And there it is right there. So yeah, so Metroid Dread, it's it is a beautiful game. It's a hard game, but it's not hard. It's not hard in an unfair or frustrating way. It's hard in a, you just have to get good at the game. You have to learn the enemy patterns. You have to learn the boss patterns. You have to learn how to utilize all of the moves and abilities that you get, and you get a lot of moves and abilities in that game that are really cool and really unique, which of course we're not going to spoil. We're not going to, this is going to be a no spoiler discussion.
Yep.
But there are so many fucking amazing moves and abilities you get in that game. And a lot of these moves and abilities make traversing the environment a lot quicker and a lot smoother. It's so good. The Emmy is such an awesome mechanic. And it's so freaking stressful when you enter a zone with an Emmy. And because if it catches you, you're dead unless you can counter it, but you have to have perfect timing. It's extremely hard to do. So it's very stressful. It's damn near impossible to kill an Emmy. And when you do finally get the chance to kill one, it's extremely intense trying to line that shot up and kill an Emmy. The boss fights are fantastic. They're extremely difficult, but you just have to learn the patterns of the boss. It's like you're probably gonna die a lot when you fight the bosses, but the more, if you just don't let yourself get frustrated, don't let yourself get mad, just keep at it, you're gonna learn the patterns. The game does an extremely good job at cueing you to what the next boss's attack is going to be. If you pay attention to the boss, you're going to know, like a second or less before that attack happens, you're going to know what the next attack is going to be, and eventually you're going to learn how to dodge that attack. Man, I have more to say, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to one of you guys to talk about it.
Go for it, Eric. You have the Metroid behind you.
Yeah, have you can't see behind. Where do I move my thumb? I'm failing at this. There, right there. I got Metroid on the NES going in honor, but so I haven't beaten it yet. I feel like I'm getting close to it. At least things are starting to progressing. Won't get into that. But the second I picked up the game, I could already tell, and maybe it was part, the fact that, geez, man, I'm holding this nice OLED in my hands, this white long. Oh wait, what?
This is getting weird.
No, so for starters, the game visually is amazing. Mm-hmm. It looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. It almost gives me, even though it's not the same art style by any means, but it's on a beauty level in my mind as Hollow Knight is. and it looks incredible. And like I said, maybe it's just the OLED speaking in me, but it looks amazing. And the game, it's a game that feels great handheld and docked as well. Like you can switch back and forth. And I love games because there are some games where it's like you can only play handheld or you can only play docked and with a controller. But this game feels pretty natural both ways. And I love that about it because sometimes I want to go lay in bed and play handheld. Like sometimes Hannah's watching TV or she's watching Squid Game right now. And I've already seen it because I watched it in like 30 seconds. So I'll just sit in bed, man. And now that we have Bluetooth, throw on the AirPods and, play handheld. But, sometimes you play dock too. So I like that you can switch back and forth. But, dude, the gameplay is fun. It's amazing. I was reading today a review, and I wish I grabbed who it was or what site, but they actually said the Emmy battles were their least favorite part about the game. And I was like, what?
I love the Emmy battles.
It's because you're right, Matt. It's damn near impossible to kill one. And once you get the power too, it's like I just went through hours of this thing killing me and trying to outrun it, and now I have the power in my hand. I'm gonna mess you up. So and you're right, even just like timing those shots and everything, it's intense. The entire game is intense, but it is worth it.
Let me ask you this, Eric. Which like format do you prefer to play the game, handheld or docked?
Man, that's a tough question, and I always like this. I've been asking Matt to do like a top Nintendo Switch games that you can play handheld or something. I think that would be a cool video. But honestly, man, handheld. I've been playing it handheld, man, because it doesn't. There are some games you play handheld and you're like, I can't do this. I need a small, controller. I don't need this wide grip going on. Yeah. But man, it feels great handheld. It doesn't feel like, my performance is ruined by it.
Think about the history of Metroid games too. I mean, Metroid 2 was ported only for the Game Boy, which is completely handheld. So it's, at least Nintendo thought the same thing. Like this is a game that could be played solely off just being on a Game Boy or a Switch.
Yeah, I played probably 90% of Metroid Dread handheld, except like the one of the parts that I didn't play handheld is the last boss, because the last boss was absolutely kicking my ass. So I was like, you know what? I got to fight this last boss with a pro controller, which by the way, the last boss fight is amazing. It's so epic. It's just, God, it's awesome. Eric, I can't wait for you to experience the final boss, dude. It's epic. You're going to love it, man. And,
I'm nervous too.
Yeah, dude, it's man, there's so much I want to say, but I can't because it's spoiler, but we'll talk offline after you beat the game. We'll talk offline.
Okay.
About it. But so another thing I love about Metroid Dread is the atmosphere is incredible. The music really adds to that.
Oh my God,
intense atmosphere. But also another thing I really love about it, of course, with the Emmy battles, each Emmy is more difficult than the last one before it, and each Emmy gets new abilities that they can use to take you down. So each Emmy is almost like its own individual puzzle to figure out, and it's very awesome. But my favorite thing, one of my favorite things about Metroid Dread is when you get all of the abilities, when you get near the end of the game, and you've got almost every ability and upgrade for Samus, you feel like a badass. Dude, literally, dude, when you get all the abilities, there's no enemy in that game. Boss fights are a different story, but regular enemies, they can't touch you, dude, when you get all the abilities. There's one move in particular that I don't want to talk about because it's spoiler, but there's one move in particular. It just shreds through everything, and it's amazing, dude. So, like, I like that, dude. If I've been playing a game to upgrade my character and I've been working my ass off to upgrade that character, I want to feel like a badass.
Yeah, you love the immediate result of it in the gameplay.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't necessarily want the enemies to scale with me. Boss fights, that's different, but like I like to feel like a badass. I like to really feel like all these upgrades have paid off. And in Metroid Dread, they certainly do a great job at that. And also, you are able to traverse the environment a whole lot faster as you get all the upgrades. And this game is a speedrunner's dream. I've already started watching a speedrun. There's somebody on YouTube that they beat the game in less than 2 hours.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So, dude, speedrunners are going to be all over Metroid Dread.
What's up, Mega Dan?
So, yeah. We should get Mega Dan on that.
But that's awesome though, because that's kind of the roots of retro video games, and it's really cool that Nintendo is bringing that back in like a more modern, day. So I love that competitive nature of it, and just real quick, just following with what 8-Bit Fellow was saying, obviously I've not played the game as much as Matt and Eric. I'm all over the place with video games. I have so many games coming in that I'm playing, plus I'm editing videos. But what I really love about Metroid Dread is the special edition, the packaging, and the branding. Oh my God. Like 8-Bit Fellow could definitely, support me on this, but like I've never seen a Switch game like so impressive with the packaging. It literally came in a giant box with a 190-page like art book of the history of Metroid, and it's a beautiful art book. Yeah, it came with a steel case and all these art cards, and it's so impressive. I'm so happy I literally paid $30 extra, which isn't even that much, to get the special edition. So
I wish I could have got it. And that box is huge, isn't it?
Huge.
Oh my God. Huge. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
So it's where are you going to put it, Jared?
You know what? I sold like probably 50 Funko Pops in the last like week. Yeah. So I have so much more room for my like Genesis boxes, and I have a great place for it. It's displayed right now. So
nice.
And I was going to say, you got to give kudos to the Nintendo marketing team. You know that Switch OLED, the white they chose, and the Emmy, it wasn't a coincidence that they're the exact same color. That was intentional. Dude, to me, I love it because now I got that connection between the two. And man, dude, last Friday, it came out Friday, was it? Almost a week ago.
Friday
oh my God. Dude, that felt like Christmas. Like it seriously, just there's so much stuff dropping. All the amiibos that were coming out with it too. You had the Metroid Dread, which if you haven't seen the Dread amiibos, you gotta pick them up. They are gorgeous. They are some of the best amiibos since like Banjo-Kazooie that I have seen. They're awesome. I haven't used them yet because I don't want to feel like I'm cheating or something, So, but dude, and then they re-released all the Dark Samus and Ridley. And so,
the rollout was excellent, and to kind of sync it up with the OLED too. I mean, there's so much hype in Nintendo right now.
And it's no coincidence that Metroid Dread and the Switch OLED released on the same day. Nintendo, they've been marketing those two things together, and they're really kind of using the release of new hardware to further push sales of Metroid Dread. Because, dude, I have not seen Nintendo market a game as much as they've been marketing Metroid Dread in a while. They have been marketing the shit out of Metroid Dread. Nintendo clearly wants this game to be successful. And from everything I'm seeing, it is. I think it's gonna. I mean, I think it's topping all the sales charts right now. So, which is great because the Metroid franchise, the Metroid franchise needed a win, and I have a feeling that there are a lot of gamers right now that are playing Metroid Dread that have never played a Metroid game before in their life, which is sad to think about that they've never played a Metroid game, but you got to start somewhere, and I think Metroid Dread is a great place to start, and maybe these new Metroid fans will go back and play some of the older Metroid games, and then, that will only be better for when Metroid Prime 4 finally comes out at some point. There will be all these new Metroid fans, so that will be more sales for Metroid Prime 4. But, dude, Metroid Dread, fantastic game. I mean, look, the fact that I beat that game in less than a week and 100%ed it in less than a week tells you how much I loved it. I could not stop playing it. I was sacrificing sleep to play Metroid Dread. I was so hooked on it, man.
Dude, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning to play it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Nice. Yeah, so it's amazing. I feel like it's 100% worth the $60 that I paid for it, which we're going to talk about because that's one of the topics. So yeah, before we move into some more topics, Eric, is there anything, or Jared, is there anything else you guys want to say about Metroid Dread?
Buy it.
Buy it. Yes.
Yeah, definitely go play it. And if you have not played Super Metroid, play that as well. It's on the Switch Online subscription or whatever. So,
yep, agreed. So, with the release of Metroid Dread, there have been some controversies online, mainly on Twitter, because Twitter is a fucking cesspool, and that's where most of the controversies happen. And I do controversies like this because I feel like these things aren't really controversies, but people make them out to be controversies. So we're going to get into 3 different topics. But before we get into these 3 different topics that have kind of popped up because of Metroid Dread, we have a special guest that's going to pop in on the podcast. He's actually in the lobby right now waiting for me to add him. And that special guest is my good friend GameCube Galaxy. So we're gonna bring him.
I knew it.
Yeah, we're gonna bring him into the podcast. I'm gonna give him the opportunity to introduce himself and talk about his channel, and then he's gonna join us in the discussion on these topics. So everybody, give a warm welcome to, drum roll please, GameCube Galaxy. What is up, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Retro Wolf?
How's it going, sir?
What's up, man?
Welcome.
Not much.
Welcome to the podcast, man. Thank you for joining us for this discussion. And before we get to this discussion, if you don't mind, take a quick moment to introduce yourself to everybody and talk about your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel all about and where they can find it?
Sure. So my name is Marcello. I run a channel called GameCube Galaxy. It's a passion project. It's something I've wanted to do for the last couple of years. And I finally had a chance to just move forward with it back in April. And honestly, I've been trying to do anything and everything GameCube related because I feel like that's a console that's truly deserved quality content. And with it hitting 20 years, that it already did in September for Japan and then for North America to be 20 years old next month, I felt like now was the time to actually do a channel dedicated to the console and try to provide high quality content to really do the console justice. And my goal is to try to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and dude, I 100% think that you've accomplished that and you continue to accomplish that. And by the way, Wolfellow dropped GameCube Galaxy's YouTube channel link in the chat. So please be sure and open that up in a new tab and leave it up so you can check it out because he has an amazing GameCube channel. If you love the GameCube, and everybody knows I love the GameCube, if you love the GameCube, you're going to get some really good content out of his channel. And one thing I love about your channel, dude, is you come up with some really cool video ideas. And you talk like the whole arcade ports video. You just you've had so many awesome video ideas that like I never even thought of. I was like, damn, that's a really good idea. Like that's awesome. So if everybody out there, if you're a fan of the GameCube, check out GameCube Galaxy. You will not regret it. And he will be coming back on the podcast before the end of the year because Eric and Jared, I don't think I've mentioned to you guys this yet, but I want to do, because this year's the 20th anniversary of the GameCube, I want to do a podcast where all we talk about is the GameCube. Woo! And so when we do that,
love that.
So when we do that, we're going to have GameCube Galaxy on as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That'll be a long podcast.
Yeah. We might plan that one out on a weekend or something. Yeah, that's gonna be great. So there have been 3 controversies that have kind of sprouted up, and these controversies have sprouted up before. And I say controversy loosely because I mean it's not really a controversy. It's just you know how Twitter is. They like to make everything a controversy. But 3 things have kind of popped up in the conversation on the internet from Metroid Dread, and those 3 things are: should all games have an easy mode? So that's one. So we're going to talk about that first. And then the next thing is, should a game's value be determined by its length? And kind of going along the same lines, should a game's value be determined by its graphical fidelity? So those are the 3 things that I'm kind of seeing pop up on the internet. Shout out to Carl, my dude Carl. He is one of my really good friends.
What's up, Carl?
He's got a Instagram page called Retro Gaming Zone. He has like over 25,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
awesome
I follow him
awesome
on
dude.
Instagram.
Yeah, awesome dude, really good friend, and we'll have him on the podcast at some point too. He's been on a couple of times in the past. But shout out to Carl. Thank you for joining the show, man. So yeah, so obviously, Metroid Dread is a hard game, and some of the conversation I've seen online, I saw there was one game journalist, and I don't remember who it was, but their article was something along the lines of, the gist of it was, Metroid Dread is a good game, but it's too hard, and it just, dude, like the way they phrased the article was just nonsense. So a lot of the conversation, I've seen conversation online, and this has popped up before in the past when Dark Souls games get released or any games by From Software, where people say, there's some people out there that think that every single game should have an easy mode, which of course is an opinion, and obviously all of us here we'll respect people's opinions. We're not going to be like a lot of these stupid people on Twitter that don't respect anybody's opinions.
Right.
So if somebody truly believes that, I respect their opinion, but I don't agree with it. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. Now I want to start with Jared, and the reason I want to start with Jared is because Jared, which I don't know where you stand, Marcello, but Jared is kind of on the easy mode side.
Okay.
So Jared,
I am.
So Jared, let's hear your thoughts and arguments on that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm coming more like on a collector's side, where I have so many games in my collection that I need to play, and it's very overwhelming. So sometimes I don't have the amount of time dedicated. Like, I mean, Matt, you got a bunch of games too, though. But like even like Eric, he's more of a completionist. He'll sit down and play a game 100% before he even moves on to anything else. And with me, like, I like the easy mode aspect of it because it's a way for me to kind of experience everything that the developers put into this video game, every stage, every like upgrade, every character, everything about a certain game, without having to spend a lot of time dedicated to beating it and being challenged. And not that like I don't like being challenged playing a video game, but someone like me, I want to play through all of my games that I have in my collection and experience every aspect of that game so I can speak about it. And that's why I'll be honest, a lot of the games I do play, I might choose the normal or easy setting just so I can speed run through it as quick as possible. I'm not a professional gamer by any means, but I like to experience every aspect of a game. So for that, it allows me to do that.
So, but Jared, let me ask you this though, because this is what a lot of people online are saying. Well, not a lot of people. I feel like it's the minority that are saying this, but do you think that every single developer should have to put an easy mode in their game that they are developing, the game that they have their own vision for? Should they have to put an easy mode in that game?
Not at all. I would never put any constraints or rules to somebody creating art. And to me, a video game is like an art piece. So that would be like telling a painter like you have to use these certain color schemes. It's like, that's absurd. But I do appreciate when I play a game, and there is some sort of easy or normal mode, and it allows me to actually like play through it in its entirety quicker than if I would, choose a hard mode, for example. So I never want to put any constraints though on an artist. And to me, like, the developer is the artist, like they're creating their vision of what they want the game to be. So in that case, you just got to suck it up and, play as much as you want to play. And if you want to stop and move on, good for you, man. Like, you can always go on YouTube and check out some gameplay, or, go to someone like Matt's house and watch him, speed run through it because he's a beast at every game. But
well, not every game, but
not every game. Okay, but yeah, I never would want to put constraints or rules on anybody's decision. So
yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate though, and just for the record, Matt and I have talked about this privately, and I am not an easy mode fan, but I could see the argument, Jared. You made a comment, I can't tell someone how to shape their art piece, right? Because game creation is an art form. I agree with that. But I mean, this isn't like a painting or something. This is, you are catering something to an audience. Well, if they've released the next Halo game, and it was a text-based video game, and the developers were like, well, that's what we were feeling like at the time. That's the vibes we got, and that's our art form. People would still riot and want to, end. I forget which company owns Halo now. Is it Microsoft? Whoever?
Yep.
They would riot because it's like, no, Halo's a first-person shooter. It's not a text-based video game. So it's not a tale or whatever they're called. So
I wish Cuphead, I wish a game like Cuphead had an easy mode. Like, I would have loved to play more through that game because I enjoyed it so much. But it gets to a point it's so challenging. I'm missing out on so much of that game because I can't beat a specific part in it. It's frustrating to me as a fan.
And that's where some of the argument comes in, because like there's some developers, and I'm pretty sure the developer of Cuphead had this particular vision in mind, but there's some developers like From Software, for example, they want their games to be punishingly difficult. They designed and Cuphead was designed with that in mind. Some developers, they want their games to be punishingly difficult. They want to challenge the players. They want to see who can overcome the challenge that they have created. And these developers, obviously the idea of putting an easy mode in their game is like a slap in the face to them, because that's not the vision that they have for their game. Now, Jared, I like that you kind of take a middle ground approach in that you're like, I would prefer an easy mode, but I can understand why a developer wouldn't want to put one, and I would never want to say all developers should have to do this, because there are a lot of people out there that think every single game should have an easy mode, period.
Right.
No matter what the developer thinks or has to say about it. But I want to hear Marcello's perspective on this.
So it's interesting because I could see both sides of the argument. Like, I can hear Jared's perspective, where as a collector you get a lot of games and you get a huge backlog, and it's a matter of just you want to experience certain games as fast as you can. As a parent myself, having a 2-year-old and not having as much time to game on top of doing content creation, sometimes I want to just play a certain game quick and experience it. However, on the other side of that, I tend to lean a little bit more on I'm okay with a game being challenging out of the gate, right off the bat, and that's the difficulty setting. That's it. And it's just about learning and persevering. Yeah. I grew up playing NES games. I grew up playing something like Ninja Gaiden on the NES. There was no easy mode in that. I can, and I'm not going to, well, I'll try not to boast it, but I'm going to still say it. I'm able to beat that game without dying once, because I've gotten to a point where I've memorized it, and I would memorize enemy placement. And for me, it was about persevering and just learning to memorize and learn patterns. And I felt like that actually is what made me better as a gamer playing other games. It gave me different perspectives on how to play a game. And then we went for a while where we had multiple games with difficulties, like multiple generations. And then like the first time, like where we heard this old school mentality for difficulty, I felt it was like Demon's Souls on the PS3. I remember when that came out, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is like the hardest thing since like old school games. And for me, I'm like, okay, bring it on. Like, I haven't seen that. And sure enough, unfortunately, my gaming skills went downhill, because when I got into it, I'm like, holy cow, like I am getting my ass kicked. But it's interesting because like then there's another game, like I mentioned Ninja Gaiden, and I look at something like the kind of recent trilogy, right? So the ones that came out on Xbox, PS3, and now you have the Master Collection on all the three platforms. That's a franchise I love. That's a game I could always showcase, and I know that's a skill-based game. Like, and if you're good at that game, that's a game you could show anybody, and like, holy crap, like you're insane if you know what you're doing. But I knew that there was an argument about people saying it's too hard. I can't get past the first level or the third chapter. And I remember when they made Ninja Gaiden 3, they added an easy mode, but that easy mode ripped away the experience. And I know people who played that easy mode, and I'm like, this is awful, because the game actually made you invincible, where once your health was down to nothing, the game automatically dodged for you. And I feel like when you go to that point, like you're losing the experience, and you're not learning how to persevere. You're now just letting the game kind of guide you. And that makes it a point where, are you really playing the game to enjoy it, or are you just playing it just to see it through? Again, I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But like you guys were mentioning about Metroid Dread, I think like something like that, the difficulty was spot on, perfect. Not one moment of frustration.
Yep.
Maybe like the slightest frustration if it was like I felt like I was fighting the boss for a while, and then I like messed up at the end.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is unfair. Like it was a game where I'm like, if I messed up, I knew it was my fault. Like I rushed
100%.
because the controls are butter smooth, everything's super responsive. Yeah. To me, I think like Metroid Dread is the one game that people should be looking at right now as this is difficulty done right. If you don't offer the option, because it's not impossible. It's a game that's going to challenge you. You're going to die a lot, but you're never gonna like die and then like lose like an hour worth of progress, like in a Souls game where you have to like try to find your body again and get your souls, right?
And you have save states too. You have that capabilities versus like an NES game.
Right. So I mean, I love a challenging game. I feel like there's so much perseverance when you can achieve that. Beating Metroid Dread, beating that final boss, which I will not spoil for anybody.
So you beat it?
Oh, I beat it on Saturday night on the OLED Switch. And like I played it strictly OLED.
Dude, how awesome was that final boss fight?
That final boss fight will go down as probably my gaming moment of the year.
Yes.
Like I was completely blown away. I got my ass kicked like countless times. And I remember thinking like, wow, like am I gonna be able to even beat this? But again, it's once you get to learn it, it's an exhilarating experience. And it's like you felt that gratification when you beat it.
Yes.
I like I said, Dread I thought was a perfect game and a perfect way to do difficulty right if you're not offering the option.
Yeah, and I don't know if you heard what I was saying earlier, but one thing that I noticed about Metroid Dread is the developers did a really, really good job at in the boss fights. If you pay attention to the cues, you'll know which attack is coming next.
Yes.
You have to be quick. You have to really pay attention. But you're going to learn the cues. They did it, but they didn't make it. They didn't make it extremely obvious. But there's little subtle things that you can notice, and you'll know what the next attack is going to be. And that is good game design.
It is. Honestly, the only other games that come to mind for me where you can actually pay attention to that stuff and it rewards the player for paying attention to that is like the Ninja Gaiden series.
Yes.
Or Sekiro.
Yeah.
Which was, like I felt like those were games that when you persevere, you truly persevere. And Metroid was the same sense. It was just perfection.
Yeah. So there are really people out there, and like I said, I think it's the minority, but there really are people out there that think every single game should have an easy mode and every single game should be accessible to every single player so that they can experience everything the game has to offer. And I can appreciate wanting everybody to be able to experience every aspect of every game, but that's just not realistic. And the thing about it is, we live in an era, and I mean it's been like this for a couple of decades now, where there's so many video games out there that you're never going to be able to experience every single video game. As sad as that is, you're never going to be able to experience every video game you want to experience. And if you think a game is going to be too hard for you, and you don't think you're going to have the time to put into it to really enjoy the game, there's no shortage of other choices out there. You know what I mean? There's plenty of choices out there. So, and plus, as a game developer should never have to change their game to make it to me. Okay, so I'm going to kind of use an analogy of my favorite musicians. Okay, my favorite musicians are musicians that don't write music for other people. They write music for themselves. They write music for them, not for other people. They're not trying to appease the masses. They're not trying to write their music to reach as many people as possible. They're trying to write the music that is in their heart and in their soul. Those are my favorite musicians. So in my mind, for a developer to make the best game they can make, I think a developer should be making the game that they want to make and not make a game that's going to be as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, because that's going to take away from whatever their vision is in the game. Now, Jared, I can, of course, appreciate and respect your perspective, and I'm glad, Jared, that you're not on the camp of all developers should have to do this, because I think that's absurd. But I do understand your perspective, Jared. I certainly do, and I can see things from your point of view, and everything you said makes perfect sense to me. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't understand why so many people online debate this. It just like, aren't there bigger issues to worry about?
100%.
I guess my biggest thing is it's a Metroid game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you that surprised it's hard? Have you played a Metroid game before?
You are right.
They're known for being hard. The whole Metroidvania genre is supposed to be a challenging, difficult game.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, this is too hard, I want easy mode, don't buy a Metroid game then.
Yep.
Go buy that Hello Kitty game you reviewed on the GameCube.
Hey, that was kind of a good game, Eric. I'm not gonna lie. It was easy, but it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun.
Was there a hard mode for that game?
No.
Oh man, that's disappointing.
Dude, you could beat that game with your eyes closed. It's like stupidly easy.
Now that should be the opposite rant we should be starting on Twitter, is that every game should have a hard mode.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's true. But yeah, no, you're right, Eric. Metroid games have historically been difficult games. And I hope that they continue to be difficult games, because that's and no Metroid game, except maybe the first one, no Metroid game is difficult in a frustrating way.
Right.
They're all designed to where you can overcome the challenge just by learning the game. So, yeah.
It's okay to die in them. Like, it is okay to die. I've died. Literally Hannah, my wife, is sitting next to me eating Chinese food, and she's like, why does that yellow robot keep killing you over and over again? And I was like, Hannah, now's not the time. So, it's okay to die.
What's cool about those segments is that when you can counter that.
Oh, man.
If you're good, if you're fast enough.
Yeah. Like, that's another sense of gratification where it's like, right, I did that. Like, it wasn't like the game slowed down except for the tutorial part of it.
Yeah.
Again, that's that sense of gratification that with that perfect difficulty curve.
Yeah. And I pulled that counter off a few times. Not that many, because you have to have, dude, you have to be,
like split second.
Yeah, dude. There's no margin for error there. You have to be on it.
And each Emmy was different too. So it's like when you thought you had one early on, later on it's like, no, it's a totally different timing window.
Yeah. It's a brilliant game. I mean, we could literally probably. I know Jared hasn't played a whole lot of it, so he's probably like, guys, just stop talking about Metroid.
No, you're fine. Already. You're fine.
But I could talk about it an entire podcast, but we do, of course, have other topics to get to. So the easy mode thing, it's whatever. That doesn't bother me all that much, because, it's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. There's never going to be, every game is never going to have an easy mode. So, people, it's a moot point. People are arguing this online for nothing, because it's never going to happen. But these next two things really kind of piss me off. And these are two things that really, really irritate me and get on my nerves.
Triggered.
And that's, oh no, seriously, dude. And that's the notion. First, we'll talk about game length. The notion that a game's value should be determined by its length is absolutely absurd to me. Now, let me explain why. Okay, some games overstay their welcome. Perfect example of that is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh boy!
Almost every single person I've talked to that have played and beat that game said that they really struggled to make it through that game, because it was just a slog to get through. It was just too slow. It was too long, too repetitive. And so that's a perfect example of a game that its length doesn't really determine its value. Now, to me, the most important thing for me personally, and this is a subjective topic, right? What someone's perception of a game's value is going to be different. It's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's going to have their own metrics of how to determine if a game is actually worth $60. But the argument that I'm seeing online around Metroid Dread is people are saying that because the game is between 8 and 12 hours long, somewhere in that time range, that it shouldn't be $60. Now, to me, that is an absurd notion, because for me personally, it took me 12 hours to beat it and 100% it. And that was an amazing amazing 12 hours. It was never boring. It was just an amazing experience from start to finish. And me personally, I feel like I got more than my $60 out of that game by a long shot. So I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on a game's length being the determining factor of whether or not it's worth $60. And let's start with GameCube Galaxy.
So yeah, I think the whole argument that if a game is too short should not be $60 is highly debatable, but in the wrong sense. I mean, for me, it's about I'd rather have a more consolidated, cohesive experience that never lets off the gas from start to finish, right? Yeah. Because by the time I finish an experience like that, let's say if it's 3-4 hours, like Metroid Dread, I finished in 6 hours flat.
Woo.
On my first playthrough.
Wow.
But I only had 35% of the items. So I made the game harder, especially at the end.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like I couldn't stop playing it. I just wanted to get through it because I was having so much fun. For me, it was worth every penny. Now, I can think of games that are these massive open world games that I've been so tired of because it's just the same thing over and over. Ubisoft is one of those examples. Every game is a copy and paste collectathon of unnecessary items and viewpoints of your map, and you get these like insanely sized maps. It's like, oh yeah, we have all this. That's great. You have quantity over quality, and that's where I feel like something like Metroid Dread is quality over quantity. I have a game that is phenomenal from start to finish and is worth every penny, and I will replay over and over and over again. You know, people complain about pricing too. If we look back, NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, games used to sometimes cost $70, $80. I remember being at Sears and seeing games for like $75. And those games were what, maybe 45 minutes once you knew what you were doing?
And with inflation, $75 in those
days.
Way more.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So now, granted, I'm not going to sit here and say that $60 is going to be the cheapest price when you're buying games constantly to add to your library. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Metroid Dread should have been like a $20, $30 game because maybe Ori, which is a Metroidvania game that people were starting to compare, I think, to for some reason. They were saying like, well, if you have something like Ori that's $30, why would I buy Metroid Dread for $60? Because Metroid Dread is a flawless game. You know, I've seen even on Twitter, you had the argument of, oh, look at a Nintendo $60 game versus a Sony $60 game. It's like, yeah, listen, Sony does phenomenal exclusives too.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm most likely going to end up replaying a Nintendo game over any others because they're about fun factor. I'm not looking for the most visually stunning game. Again, Metroid Dread is a stunning looking game though. But I'm looking for gameplay first. The gameplay's got to be fast, tight, responsive, and highly replayable. You give me those, it's worth every penny. I got the special edition, and it's still worth every penny.
Worth every penny.
Worth every penny. It really is. So yeah, I think that the whole thing with like a game's length should be determining the price is inaccurate. Because just to finish off, one game that comes to mind for me that I despised was Red Dead Redemption, the first one. Everybody's like, game of the year, phenomenal, this and that. Okay, fine, I picked it up. It was $60, right? That had to be one of the most painful games for me to sit through. I had to like really force myself to finish it because everybody's saying it's an amazing campaign. Campaign didn't get good until the last 20 minutes. And by then, I've already done 15 hours of nonsensical stuff that were such a slog to go through that I'm like, this isn't a good game by any stretch of the imagination because it's got all this content, but it's not fun. There's nothing enjoyable about this. You know, so it's like, you know, I think if anything, gamers have to start being a little bit shorter rather than longer, and it shouldn't be affecting the price. As long as it's a quality game, that's what matters.
Perfectly said. Eric, Jared, what do you guys think?
Go for it, Eric.
Yeah, so when I started playing Metroid Dread, to me the game has felt like a love letter to retro video games, and which is smart on Nintendo's part because retro gaming is very popular right now. But if you played retro video games, a lot of them aren't that long. They're very, they're quick games, and so this whole concept of, the game's not long enough and everything, it's supposed to feel like a retro video game. And it's supposed to be a game that you play through once and you're like, okay, let's play it through again. And now that I know where some things are and some places are and some patterns, and I start to memorize a lot of things, let's go back and see if I can improve my score or, do better or get that 100%. Not all of us are like Matt, where we 100% it the first try and everything. A few of us have to go back and actually do it a couple times, but it's to me, there's replay value from learning all the patterns and seeing if you can do better. And they throw in a hard mode now. So now it's like, hey, you thought that was, I honestly, hard mode, I don't think I could touch, because I think I would wind up in the hospital if I tried it. So, but dude, there's that replay aspect too. So it's really not a 12-hour video game. The intention, I think, is to continuously keep challenging you to go above that. But dude, I mean, there's video games I've played that are infinite that were a fraction of what Metroid Dread costs. I mean, with their logic, then those very long games should be $100, expensive. Minecraft, Stardew Valley. I mean, the games do not end, and I paid $20, for those games, or whatever. So
you pay in the long run though with like DLCs and whatever offerings they have. And to me, there's like two aspects of it. I'm either gonna pay for like the physical package, which like the special edition of Metroid Dread, for example. Incredible. It's amazing. I'm worth every $90 plus tax I paid. It's beautiful. I'm going to love it forever and display it. It's special to me. Well done, Nintendo. But on the other, spectrum of it, like I will pay for a game if it has online aspects that I can play with friends. Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, has a really fantastic online play that, Eric and I have spent a lot of time just playing with a bunch of friends, doing bounties together and
shooting up towns.
Just being wild cowboys. But that game is awesome. It's the reason why Grand Theft Auto, there hasn't been a 6 release yet, because they keep releasing DLC for 5. And so for that matter, I'm totally invested in a game like Grand Theft Auto, because they keep adding more to the online play. It's a whole other video game. So if you either support the online play or you make a really beautiful package physically that collectors like all of us will gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun playing it, the game looks great, it plays well and everything, I mean, GameCube Galaxy and RetroWolf, you guys are the only ones in this podcast who've beat it. I'm almost there. I feel like I'm getting there at least, but it doesn't matter the length of it. At the end of the day, hearing your reactions to it is exactly what those game developers were shooting for. That reaction. Everyone I've seen online who's played this game is saying it's up there for them. And so at that point, it's like you're getting your money's worth from that alone. Who cares how long the game is? The game was intended to be that length. Let them live.
Yeah, and I know not everybody feels this way. I mean, it really just depends on where you're at in life and what kind of time you have. But me personally, I'm finding that the older I get and the less time I have available to play video games, I'm finding that I tend to like shorter experiences more that are, say, 20 hours or less. Because I'm finding that when I play a game that's super, 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 super long, sometimes I don't finish the game. Like an example of that would be Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure that game is over 60 hours to beat the main story. And even though I am loving the game, I'm having a lot of fun with the game, I haven't played it in like 2 months now. I think I was like 30 hours into it. I haven't played it in like 2 months now because it was just so freaking long. Sometimes I feel like games are just too long.
Yeah. For sure, especially nowadays, with a lot of the games currently. And then they just make it even longer with making it like maybe a live service, something like Destiny, which just becomes... I mean, I could never get into it. But yeah, I agree. Like even lately with the channel, I'm starting to review GameCube games, and it's been refreshing because I'm playing through a game entirely. I'm recording the entire game for the review.
Yeah.
And I'm able to get through a game in maybe 3, 4, 5 hours on average, right? And I'm like, okay, that's a lot better than, okay, I'm going to, like, on my previous channel or my previous website I had gotten a review copy for Borderlands 2 back on the PS3 when it was coming out. I got the review copy 5 days before the game released in stores. I had 3 days to put together a review and release it for the embargo, which means that I played the game for 34 hours on that weekend. And then had to write my review in time for the embargo. And I remember I love the game, don't get me wrong, but there was a certain point where I'm like, oh my God, this has to stop. Like, this is such a long game. Yeah. So yeah, I like you said, Matt, is basically I think the older we get to, it's like we have less time, right? You want to dedicate more time to like your family and all that. Yeah. So a shorter experience, again, and if it's shorter, cohesive, it's just the meat and bones of the game. It's gas doesn't let off from start to finish, and it finishes in like 3 to 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. I think that's like the perfect length, and as long as it's excellent, it justifies the price.
Can I tie this back to the easy mode and why it support easy mode? Literally, we're all talking about the same thing. Our lives are so busy, but we still want to complete a video game. So what better way to do so than at least put an easy mode in there where we can run through it with our time constraints? And that's why I like easy mode.
So I can understand that, Jared, but for me, I find a lot of times if I'm playing a game and it's too easy, I'm not enjoying it as much. I don't find the experience to be as fun if it's too easy. I like to be challenged. Now,
so normal mode.
Yeah, normal mode. And that's
normal mode.
That's how the game was intended to be played. Normal.
How many times have we read that at the bottom when you choose the difficulty, like, oh, the way the game was intended to be played?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I will say, I know a lot of people are saying, like, I see Rich in the comments is saying, prefers a shorter and more polished experience. I'm not here to hate on longer games, though.
No,
I put 120 hours into Persona 5.
You're crazy person, Eric.
And that is my favorite video game of all time. I have yet to play a game that has topped that game. So I think it just depends. I mean, to Matt's point, that Assassin's Creed game, I haven't played Valhalla, but it sounds like it was garbage.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, it sounds like it was garbage, and it sounds like a lengthy video game. So I think there are other variables to consider, and length is probably towards the bottom of the priority list for me. If the game plays well, it looks great, has a great story, it's fun. You know what? I don't care if it's short, long, whatever. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and dude, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when I bought my Xbox Series X, I wanted to buy a physical game to play on it. The only physical game I could find for the Xbox Series X at the time when it came out was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It was at the store, so I'm like, you know what? It looks cool. I'm going to buy it. I played it for like 5 hours, and I was like, I can't do this. Never touched it again. Sold it. It was not a fun experience, and that leads me to say, what is the point of a game being 40, 50, 60 hours if it's not fun, if it's not enjoyable? Now, there's some games out there that I can play for that long and have a blast. Like, as an example, any of the Fallout games, the Elder Scrolls games, I can play those games for 100 hours and have a freaking blast the entire time. Outer Worlds, when Outer Worlds first came out,
it's a great game.
I probably spent 40, 50, 60 hours in that game, had a blast. So there are some games that, there it is.
Nice, there it is.
There are some games that, are long and I enjoy them and I can't stop playing them, but sometimes I start playing a long game and I'm like, this is just going on too long. I'm not having as much fun as I was when I first started. I don't know if I can finish this. There's all these other games I want to play. So I think these days, for me personally, I tend to like games that are for me, I think 20 hours or less is a good range for me. I can do 20 to 30 hours if it's a really good game. But these days, I very rarely will play a game that takes me over 30 hours to beat. It's very rare. It has to be a special game for me to do
Persona 5.
I might try it one day, dude, but the idea of playing a game for 120 hours, especially a turn-based RPG, oh my God.
Persona is different, though. It's not quite turn-based, but you don't have to put that much time into it. I chose to. So.
Yeah, I got you.
Fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so it sounds like we're all on the same page, though, that a game's length should not be the determining factor.
Size doesn't matter.
Right. A game's length should not be the determining factor of its value and whether or not it's worth $60 or whatever the MSRP is for that particular game. Now, along the same lines, and this one is even more absurd. I can understand somewhat the argument of the length determining value, but this one to me is absurd, and that's the argument that a game's graphics should be the determining factor of its value.
That's so subjective.
That's...
And so I saw one person on Twitter that showed a clip of the first boss in Metroid Dread, that lizard dragon looking thing that you fight, the first real boss in Metroid Dread. And then they also showed a clip next to it of the dragon boss you fight in God of War. Mm-hmm. And they were like, $60 Nintendo game versus $60 Sony game.
Get out of here.
And I was like, shut the hell up. Okay, now first let me say this. God of War is one of my favorite games of all time. I think that game is a masterpiece. I love that game. It is, in my opinion, one of the best games ever made. However, even though the game is gorgeous, when I first played that game, it had some of the best graphics I had ever seen in a video game. It blew me away. I like pretty graphics. I do. But pretty graphics, that is not the most important thing to me in a video game. And like Jared just said, that's subjective. What somebody, if, what I think, I might think a game like Mario Bros. 3 is beautiful, which I do. Yeah. I think that it's beautiful. But some people, especially newer generations of gamers, might see that and be like, that looks awful. You know what I mean? So it is subjective. But this whole notion of a game has to have photorealistic graphics for it to be worth $60 is insane. Because for me personally, the most important thing about a video game for me is the fun factor, is the entertainment value that I get out of that game. And like I said, I love pretty graphics. I do. But that is very low on my priority list of what, for me, determines the value of a game. So let's hear from one of you guys on your thoughts on people with that argument.
Why don't we let the guest, GameCube Galaxy, start us off?
It's... Honestly, I feel like it's still similar to the previous, concept. It always will boil down to the gameplay. That's the gameplay. You're buying a game to play the game. I'm not buying a game to just watch its beauty in terms of visuals. Like if I wanted to do that, I can go watch a movie. Again, I agree with you, Matt. Visuals, I like to see nice visuals. Something like God of War was stunning. Something like Spider-Man it blew my mind when I was playing it. I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe how phenomenal this game looks. But, and I love those games. Those are some of my favorite PS4 games, hands down, especially Spider-Man. But yeah, for me, it's not about the graphics. At the end of the day, give me a game that plays excellent, and I could constantly keep replaying, and it will have justified my cost. Now, let's take it back further, right? Let's go old school for a second. How many times, I remember growing up going to arcades. I can count several games I've probably put more than $60 into just to play those experiences. Okay. They might not have been the most amazing looking games to today's standards. So, they were better looking games than what we had at home console wise at the time, right? But the graphics weren't the reason I played it. It was the game, right? because if I wanted to see it, I could just watch it for the visual sake. You know, I look at something like actually Bayonetta 3 when they showed it off the Nintendo Direct. Okay, this is one game I've been thinking about for a bit, because when they showed that, I loved Bayonetta 1 and 2, especially 2, and I've been excited for this upcoming game. And when I saw the first gameplay footage, I'm like, it doesn't look that good visually. It actually looks slightly scaled back from 2, but it could be because of the color palette they're using. It almost has like the section they showed was a little bit more grayish toned. But I'm like, all right. At the same time, I'll give them some, you know, credit. You know, we'll give them benefit of the doubt. Let's see how we're here for the gameplay, so let's see how the gameplay looks, right? So, at the end of the day, I'm there for the game. Like, I'm still going to get it day one. I know it's going to be probably worth my $60, just like the first 2 games were. But visuals aren't the priority. Like you said, Matt, that is the bottom of my list. For me, it's gameplay. Probably actually sound is high up there with me. For me, a game has to have a phenomenal soundtrack, because
I agree.
Dread does.
Dread does. Just from the moment, or just from the title screen alone, like you already knew, like, oh wow, this is gonna have an awesome soundtrack.
So put visuals and graphics like 3 on your list then?
Like the 4, like the bottom.
Okay.
Because right below that's controls. The game has to have at least good controls, right?
Yeah.
And that's almost how I do my reviews on the channel right now, even with GameCube games. I've categorized it by that. And I don't show the score. I end up giving each breakdown, but when I give my final score, it's a culmination of how I broke those down to me personally.
100%.
But for me, it's like that gameplay's first. But then sound is such a high one for me.
Yeah.
You give me a game. I'm trying to think. There's definitely games I've played that suck. The controls are awful. The graphics are awful. But if a soundtrack, no, that's just bad in every category down the line. It has no good sound, no good anything. Gosh, when you covered that, I was like, oh no.
You gotta play it, man. You gotta play it.
Oh, believe me, I am very much intending to do an episode about the worst games and my thoughts on whether they're as bad as they were told to be, or if they're better. Trigger Man's definitely not anywhere near remotely playable. So yeah, no, that's just my take on the whole thing. I think that graphics are the bottom of the barrel in terms of what has to be there.
I totally agree with you, and I think the most perfect example is so both Matt and I own an Oculus Quest 2. I'm not sure. Nice. Do you have an Oculus Quest? But so I mean,
I don't.
It's amazing. Like VR is it's an incredible experience. I love it so much. But having said that, so like top-notch graphics. I mean, literally virtual reality. It doesn't get better than the 8K experience. You're literally like in the video game. Having said that, to me, the gameplay isn't really fully there yet to a point where I feel like I need to play it all the time. So, I mean, Matt, I haven't touched my Oculus for probably like 3 months, to be honest. So it's one of those like situations where like graphics top-notch, better than any system I have, better than PS5, better than everything. You're literally in the video game, yet the gameplay's not there, so I never play any of the games. And
Jared, I'm gonna have to send you a list of games then, because I've had the opposite experience, dude. I've played games on the Oculus that had amazing gameplay.
Okay, that's very fair. Maybe I don't like the whole like aspect of like not being able to pick up a controller and just start playing on a TV and watch. You know,
so, like I have the PlayStation VR. And obviously, in terms of tech specs, it's not going to be anywhere near the Oculus, right?
Right.
But I will say, personally, I've actually loved the experience, because I've actually found a handful of excellent games, something like Super Hot, or obviously like Beat Saber. You know, there's games like that I remember playing. Like, this is a new type of game style. Like, this is a new experience, and for me, it actually felt next gen. And like, I felt like that was more of a next gen leap than something like the PS5. Because it was a new way to play, right? It was a new experience. But yeah, no, I do. VR still has to get perfected. I know there's still like it's still not there yet. But like Matt said, there are some excellent games that I've had memorable experiences playing.
I agree. For the record, I love my Oculus Quest 2. I only got one once Facebook allowed you to create an account without having a Facebook. So I was like, okay, I'll buy one then.
Oh, did they actually finally do that?
Yes, they did. So
great. Because I deleted my Facebook like 2 years ago.
You do not need a Facebook to get an Oculus Quest 2. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I mean, there's a reason why I haven't sold mine. It literally just hangs in my closet. I don't use it much, but it's still an incredible experience. And yeah, Matt, I'm definitely interested in some other games that might have better gameplay than what I've experienced.
Dude, Jared, I'll tell you a game that you need to download immediately, and you can get this on the PlayStation VR as well. It's called Thumper.
Oh, yes.
Thumper is incredible, Jared. You don't even
Is that
have
part
to,
of Pornhub?
No, no. So you don't have to.
I think that was
stand.
called Humper.
You don't have to stand. You can play Thumper sitting down. You don't have to stand. You don't have to move your arms around. You literally just use the controllers like in a video game, but it's in VR. Thumper is one of the trippiest games that I've played in a long time. But dude, I'm going to try to explain this game to you, Jared, and I'm getting off topic here, but that's okay. Okay.
It's
so
all right. It's your podcast.
In Thumper, you're a beetle, and you're in this really psychedelic, just trippy environment, and you're moving nonstop along a track in this psychedelic, trippy, hellscape, freakish environment. And it is a rhythm game. There's music. There's really, really amazing music playing in the background, but it's very trippy music. It's very percussive. What's the word I'm looking for?
Percussive?
Percussive.
You guys are making up words. There's no way percussive is a freaking word.
You know,
dictionary.
like it's
Rhythmic?
There's a lot of it's rhythmic, but it's very chaotic. It's kind of chaotic, and it's like it's like a drum. You know, like
percussion.
Rhythmic. Should
What's
we ask?
the word
You
guys
I'm
know
looking
what
for?
we're
Pixel Game
Damn it.
Squad.
Drop
What
a comment.
what word are we looking for? Pixel Game.
Anyways, all right.
Percussive?
So you're this beetle. You're moving along this track, and
Percussive is a word.
yeah,
Okay,
I thought it was.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a word.
Sorry,
And
Matt.
what's the definition? You got the definition pulled up?
Hold on. It's actually basically what you said. It is
See,
relating to or produced by percussion.
Yeah, like drums, that sort of thing.
That's a cop-out definition.
So,
Anyway.
so in this game, Jared, there's 7 levels. The levels are pretty long, and each level introduces new gameplay mechanics. But you're trying to survive and make it to the end of this track. Dude, this game's so hard to explain. As a matter, you know what? Let me just do this. Hold on, Jared.
Oh no, dude, we're going. Jared, you just got us in a rabbit hole.
I know, right?
Oh,
Actually, I thought Matt was gonna just like pop on the headset and just show how he's gonna play this thing in front of us.
hold on. Let me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Wolffellow, you need to film Matt playing this game and
I know, right?
do an edit with the
For the record,
Mario
though,
DDR.
Oculus
footage.
Quest 2 is amazing, and I use it for more than just games, like experiences, being able to travel to other cities and countries and watch
That's cool.
NBA basketball games, being like literally on the home court of the your favorite team, watching them play live. It's amazing.
I think he's about to drop it.
I'm gonna try something that I've not tried yet on StreamYard. So let's see how this
This
goes.
is a Retro Wolf 88 podcast first.
Oh, look at this.
Can you guys see the screen?
We can see it.
Yes. After this, show us your browsing history.
How's their browser?
I don't think that looks like a beetle to me.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
it.
It looks like a guitar pick.
I already can tell it's gonna mess with my motion sickness.
Yeah, I couldn't play this on VR.
Oh, Wolffellow's calling you out right now, Matt.
Dude, this looks insane. You play this VR?
Yeah, this looks a little intense for me.
Oh, I'm on board.
I'm gonna stick to the nice meditation.
No, Jared. Jared.
That game needs an easy mode because if
Okay.
not, I'm gonna have a seizure.
Okay, Jared. When I come to Columbus next,
Okay.
I'm bringing my Oculus, and you're
I
playing
have my
Thumper.
Oculus.
And you're playing Thumper because it's not
Go
it's
buy
not
it.
like you think. It is a very intense game. It's very intense. You're not going to get motion sickness. This game is not the kind of VR game that gives motion sickness because you're not moving. It's hard to explain. You're seeing everything from a third person perspective, from a outsider perspective, but it's still in VR. Okay. So there's no like motion for you, if that makes sense. So you're not gonna have any motion sickness. But dude, it is one of my favorite VR games ever made. It's amazing. Okay. Amazing. So,
bring the Oculus. I got one.
I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it. And we're also going to dig into my Oculus Quest browsing history as well. So,
oh, no.
Oh, boy.
So, what were we...
We were talking about graphics.
Okay, Jared, tell Macho Man Randy Savage to shut the hell up, or when I come to Columbus, I'm literally going to cut his head off. It's going to happen.
We're going to film that, too.
Yeah, please film that.
Dude, speaking of Beatles, though, so for me with graphics, it's like, you know, I'm assuming these trolls on the internet are talking about like 4K resolution, ray tracing, that sort of thing. Yeah. But this game has none of that, and it is one of the most beautiful games that I've ever played is Hollow Knight. I mean, dude, this game looks amazing. So it's like your graphics argument to me isn't valid, because then you have to define, well, what looks visually pleasing to someone else is not going to be visually pleasing to another person. Yeah. And I don't care about having the most powerful equipment to do ray tracing on or something like that. Hollow Knight to me looks amazing. The illustrated backgrounds and characters and everything. It's visually a masterpiece, to the point that my wife, who is not a gamer, but she's an artist, can appreciate Hollow Knight for its artistic approach to it. So, I mean, those people, get out of here.
Dude, here's the crazy thing. At least my perspective when I'm on Twitter, which honestly, Twitter's a cesspool. I hate it. But, dude, it is shocking. It is shocking how many people think that if a game doesn't have amazing graphics, it's not a good game. There are legit tons of people out there that have this mentality, that if a game doesn't look like God of War, doesn't look like Red Dead Redemption 2, there are lots of people out there that think if a game doesn't have high-end graphics, it is a shit game and not worth playing. And you know what? I feel sorry for those people. Yeah. I feel, whoa.
Game Chasers,
the Game Chasers in the stream. What is up, Billy?
Cheers to you, guy.
What an awesome surprise. Thank you, Billy, for popping in. And he says, Hollow Knight, more like Hollow might not play, am I right?
He's breaking my heart.
Billy,
I've never played it. Dude. I like beat 'em ups. So...
Dude, you got to play Hollow Knight, Billy. It's awesome. It might be a little too hard for you. Nah, you've beat some really hard games, man. You could beat Hollow Knight.
We all know he likes the hard ones.
Oh yeah. Were you about to say something again?
Yeah, actually, I was going to admit, I actually never played Hollow Knight, even out of my vast social library. That's actually something I don't have. Dude. I've always heard a lot about. But there's one thing I always heard about that game that's enticed me to want to play it. And it was apparently there's this, like, I guess there's a certain boss that's considered like one of the hardest gaming challenges this generation. I don't know who it is, whatever, but I heard that. For me, that was like, okay, I kind of want to play this game. I want to see if I could beat that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do need to get around to it. Eric, based on you even saying like what you were saying about it, I've just heard nothing but amazing things about it. I seem to have missed out on it right now, but I'll have to definitely add that to the library.
Dude, I can say with 100% certainty, based on some of the difficult games that you told me that you loved, you will love Hollow Knight, man. It is a fantastic game. It is brutally difficult, but it's not difficult in a frustrating way. It's difficult in a you just have to get good at the game kind of way. You just have to learn the patterns, learn the enemies. Dude, the boss fights in that game are intense. They will kick your ass.
Yep.
I've rage quit that game a few times because the boss fights were just so insanely difficult, and I had to take a break and come back. But eventually, when you do conquer that boss, dude, the feeling of gratification you get is through the roof. It's just, man, it's a great game. I haven't beat it yet, I'm sad to say, but one day.
I'm with you on that, Matt. Actually, that's why I stopped playing, because I ended up rage quitting and just moved on to some like other games, but I plan to go back and finishing it. But despite the anger and the frustration and the rage quitting, it's still one of my favorite games. It's it's so awesome. And
so you guys wish there was an easy mode then?
No,
absolutely.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
No, because that is how the game was intended to be played. So,
yeah,
and that's part of it. That's part of why I like the game, because it is challenging. So,
yeah, and it's such a great game. Hey, real fast, I don't know if Billy, I don't know if you're still in the stream, but real fast, I do want to plug the Game Chasers movie. It's coming out in the very near future. If anybody watching is a fan of the Game Chasers, get pumped up, because this movie's going to be great. I spent 4 days on the set. I saw several scenes being filmed, and based on what I saw filmed, this is going to be a quality production, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a great movie. And if you want to support the movie, you still can through the Indiegogo page. Wolfellow, if you don't mind, Google search Indiegogo Game Chasers movie. You should find the Indiegogo link. Pop that in the chat if you don't mind. You can still pre-purchase the movie through Indiegogo, and you can even, I believe, purchase premiere tickets if you're interested in going to the premiere of the movie, which is right around the corner. So I just wanted to do a quick plug for that.
Really?
Nice.
And support the Game Chasers movie, because it's
yes,
it has a special place in my heart, because I was part of the process. Yeah. I spent 4 days on set and actually helped with the movie, and I'm actually going to be an extra in a few scenes. So so it's special for me. So I would love for you guys out there to support the movie if you can. So
did Matt? Did you get to do any like stunt work or anything?
No stunt work. But maybe if there's a sequel, hey, who knows? Maybe.
Also, there's no segments of you using the DDR dance pad or anything like that in there.
That'll be stunt work.
No. But
can you share that moment?
Yeah.
Put that on the screen.
But I am actually pretty excited to kind of go into more detail on my experience on the movie set, because I just can't go into detail about it, because I can't talk about what I saw. But once the movie's released and a lot of people have seen it, maybe I can do a show where I go into more detail about my experience on set. Maybe I can get Billy on the podcast for that. That would be a lot of fun.
Matt, where is the premiere for the movie?
It's going to be in Texas, I'm sure.
Okay.
Probably Dallas, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, Eric and Jared, GameCube Galaxy, if you guys are interested and able to go to the movie premiere, there are movie premiere tickets available for purchase on the Indiegogo site, and that's going to be exclusively for the cast and the crew and Kickstarter backers, and then of course anybody that buys one of the tickets on the Indiegogo page. And I think there's only limited quantities.
Okay.
If they're gonna have like ices and pretzel bites, then yeah, I'd probably go see the movie.
I mean, I can't speak to that, but
hey, Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, so I'm there.
There you go.
Put me on it right here.
So, all right. So back on topic. So, I want to go through the panel here, and I want to, which I think we've pretty much already established this, but I want to hear it one more time from each of you guys. I want to know what the number one thing is for each of you that determines if a game is worth the money you spent on it. And let's start with Eric and go clockwise. So, Eric,
of course you picked me. So, repeat the question again, because
so what is the thing about a video game, graphics, gameplay, music, whatever, story, whatever? What is the one thing that you value among everything else that determines for you if a game is worth the money you paid for it?
I mean, this might be cheesy and insane, but fun. At the end of the day, I play video games because they're fun. I enjoy them. It gives me an escape from reality, a way to decompress from my day. And so, if the game's not fun, it's not worth it to me. But if a game's fun, it doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter how long it is. Those are irrelevant. If I'm enjoying playing the game, then that's all that matters. That's, to me, one of the big reasons why retro video games are so popular right now, because people are going back and saying these games were fun. They were fun to play when we were kids. They're still fun to play now as adults. Doesn't matter the graphics, what it looks like, whatever. I have fun playing, and so that's all that matters. Now we're playing like 3, 4, 5 times the prices for these retro video games that we paid for when we were kids, but it's worth it because at the end of the day, we have fun playing them, and that's what matters to me.
Sweet, Jared, what you got?
For me, I mean, this might be like very like high level, but genre. I'm very kind of like genre based with the games that I like choose to like check out or play. I love beat 'em ups, I love shoot 'em ups and shooters. So that's in racing games. So that's typically like the top 3 that I kind of go for when I'm looking for new games. So genre for me, like, you know, I love beat 'em ups. They're my favorite games to play. It just kind of connects with my brain more than like an RPG or something like that. So I'm always looking for new beat 'em ups for different consoles and whatnot. And Super Nintendo has so many great beat 'em ups. Genesis has so many great beat 'em ups. So I would say genre.
Okay, that makes sense. For me, it's pretty much the same thing Eric said: fun factor, entertainment value, which are pretty much one and the same. Well, I mean, I guess entertainment value could encompass everything about a video game, not just whether it's fun. That could encompass story and everything. So I guess for me, yeah, it would be fun factor. Like, I play games to have fun. That is the number one reason I play a game. If I'm playing a game and I'm not having fun, there's something wrong with that game. And you know, it could be any number of reasons why I'm not having fun. One example of that, most recently, I downloaded what's the name of that shark game? That open world shark
Maneater.
Maneater. So I downloaded Maneater on Xbox Game Pass, and because I was like, you know what, this game looks cool. A lot of people like it. Started playing it, and everything was great about the game for me except the controls. The controls, I really struggled with the controls, and it might just be me. Not everybody may struggle with the controls, but for me, I found the controls to not be good, and that took the fun out of the game for me. And I ended up I ended up not playing it because I just couldn't get behind the controls. So for me, it's fun factor, and if something takes away from the fun factor or ruins that fun factor, then that game's not worth it for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree basically with Eric and Matt the most in terms of just gameplay. It's all about having fun, fast, fluid, responsive gameplay. For me, that's what I'm there for. I'm there, and you add a challenge in there. That's icing on the cake for me personally. Something like Ninja Gaiden, where I feel like I can actually learn pattern recognition and like break it down technically, and learn how to actually beat the game, but more so beat the programming aspect of the game, try to outsmart the game. That's just bonus. But yeah, gameplay is where it's all at. But I do like that Jared's perspective is on genre, because that's another important aspect is, beat 'em up. I can relate. Beat 'em ups are one of my favorite genres. Ever since, back in the arcades or on the NES, playing TMNT arcade game on the NES or playing Streets of Rage. River City Ransom. That's another great one. And beat 'em ups, action adventure, racing games, like those are always my genres. And then like extreme sports games are always my thing too. If there's anything within those genres that clicks with me and it looks like it's going to be really awesome, then that's where it's at for me.
Speaking of beat 'em ups, I'm realizing something now for the first time. I don't know why I never thought about this. The GameCube is severely lacking in beat 'em ups.
So that's a topic I started. So I wrote down a list of topics. And one of them was like, beat 'em ups for the GameCube. And I'm researching it based on like what I have and what's there. And what's interesting is, it's not only is it lacking, people were like considering beat 'em ups like, was it Hunted the Awakening or what's that? No,
Hunter the Reckoning.
I'm like, Hunter the Reckoning. And I remember I'm like, that's not a beat 'em up at all, but they're classifying that because I'm like, are they that desperate to classify that as a beat 'em up?
To me, Beautiful Joe is the only franchise that is a beat 'em up on GameCube.
Yeah, I could see that. It's a very technical.
Right.
And the three Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, those are beat 'em ups.
Right.
You're right.
And each one of those were so radically different because last month I did a TMNT month on the channel. So every week I reviewed each TMNT game. And it's just funny because it's like I'm playing the first game and it was the closest thing to the arcade originals. But I'm all for like, if they change it up, which is fine. but I mean, I won't talk about my reviews in this sense. It's if you want to check it out, it's worth checking out. But
I will check out. I need to check out those games too.
Yeah, because it kind of went downhill at points, and you'll see why. But like, yeah, the GameCube really just did not have that many solid beat 'em ups. I'd probably say that TMNT, the first game, was probably the best one, and then there's Batman Rise of Sensu.
That's a good one,
and that was a good one. Yeah. To an extent,
I gotta write this down.
Yeah, take notes, Jared.
Yeah, I'm intrigued right now.
But Matt, like you said, I wanted to do that topic, and I'm like, this is going to be like a 4-minute video because there's not much. It's a shame.
Yeah, I think, look, if you covered, if you talked about the two Beautiful Joe 1 and 2, the 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, Batman Rise of Senzu, dude, I can't. Is there any other beat 'em ups? I don't think
Gauntlet Dark Legacy is somewhat considered. I know it's a loose one.
Dark Legacy. Nah, I'm not giving that.
Yeah, to me that's a dungeon crawl.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, because for me, for a beat 'em up, for a game to be a beat 'em up, you have to be able to actually go up to an enemy and just beat the shit out of them. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And Gauntlet, you're kind of throwing stuff and
Hulk. Yeah, I mean.
That's more of an action game to me, because like I'm thinking like true beat 'em up, like a true style beat 'em up where you have waves of enemies coming at you and you can you can punch them and kick them and throw them around, and stuff like that. And there aren't very many games on the GameCube that are like that.
The only other one that yeah, see, like I don't even know if I would consider a beat 'em up.
It's a video in the making here.
I'm telling you, like I've really sat down trying to think about this topic because this is something like actually me and my brother, we grew up playing beat 'em ups. We always got those because those were the perfect 2-player games for us to play when we grew up back on like the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, whatever the case.
Oh, man, excuse me.
And I was telling him, I'm like, yes, I want to do a beat 'em ups video, but like I'm going through the games, I'm like, there's really not much.
Right.
And I felt like I'd be kind of grasping for straws as to what a beat 'em up, what classifies as a beat 'em up, right? Does it have to be a co-op, or is it can there be a single player only one?
I mean, even with N64, like what games can you really think of are like beat 'em ups other than like
oh my gosh,
going through my list real quick.
Is there even a
Fighting Force 64?
Fighting Force. That's the only one I can think of is Fighting Force.
That may be the only one.
Maybe the Batman Beyond game. I would give a little bit of leniency, but that's like not even a good game.
That's a dumpster fire of a game. But I'm a Batman Beyond fan, so
Batman Beyond, what a cool concept!
Awesome. I had the game sucked so much though. I had to buy it on both the PS1 and the N64. But
me too.
For shits and giggles, I did actually buy the N64 copy at a convention down here in Florida a couple years ago, and Will Friedle was actually there, so I had him actually sign the cartridge, even though he didn't voice act in it. So yeah, that's just kind of like a cool tidbit. I even told him, like, bro, I'm like, they should be doing a Batman Beyond game. He's like, dude, I've been pitching that to WB for a long time.
Yeah, Nintendo really fell off on the beat 'em ups after the Super Nintendo, to be honest. I can't really think of any. Even for the Wii, they focused so much on the on-rail shooters, which I love.
Really, so did I.
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it, though, pretty much all consoles started to fall. The beat 'em up genre really had a sharp decline. Really,
why?
We can think
become 3D.
A lot of people felt they got boring.
Yeah, there's that, but we can thank indie games these days for sort of a resurgence of beat 'em ups, because indie games, they're really the ones keeping beat 'em ups alive. Indie game developers are the ones keeping beat 'em ups alive right now.
Right. I would say beat 'em ups really made a rise. I was about to bring that one up, actually. That's perfect.
I got the collector's edition right here, but I'm lazy.
So I look back at like the PS3 360 generation, right? Once we had downloadable games, and when they were like only like $5 to $10 a pop, which was great. That was when we saw resurgence, because on the Xbox 360, we started off with getting the TMNT 1989 arcade game with online play, right? And that sold like crazy. And it was because it was one of the first online available games to get from the Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
But it brought back like, oh, wait, these are actually fun to pick up and play for quick bursts in gaming.
We love
Castle Crashers, man.
Castle Crashers.
Castle Crashers. Simpsons Arcade is only ported to the PS3. And the X-Men beat 'em up is only ported to the PS3.
Exactly, and that's what like. And
go
then
go
in the midst
download
of
this
that,
right now if the PS3 store is still going. I highly recommend anyone listening to me right now, go get Simpsons, go get X-Men right now.
Unfortunately, they pulled the listings.
Okay.
And it sucks.
I got them, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I got them when they came out.
I did get them when they came out.
And this is where it gets tricky too, because then you had Scott Pilgrim, right? Mm-hmm. Scott Pilgrim was finally like another new beat 'em up, and it was an excellent beat 'em up. But then because of licensing, it got delisted for years, and it wasn't until like Eric just showed where he had his copy of the Switch. I have mine back there too, and Jared said he has his collector's edition. It gave everybody an opportunity to revisit this game because there's so many who missed out on it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was the generation where we finally got to see another rise of beat 'em ups, because then once we got to the PS4 and the Xbox One, there was a lot of indie studios doing beat 'em ups. And then I feel like this generation right now is well, I guess still technically with the PS4 X1 and then with the Switch, we've seen far more beat 'em ups than we've seen in a long time. New ones.
Beat 'em ups. Amazing 8-bit beat 'em ups, 16-bit beat 'em ups, like completely new storyline, everything.
Yeah. On the Switch in particular, there are a ton of beat 'em up games, hidden gem games too that nobody ever talks about.
Something like Fight and Rage. I don't know if you guys have ever played that on the Switch.
I have it right over here.
Was that Cobra Kai? Was that
Cobra Kai was a beat 'em up?
Is that a beat 'em up?
It's a beat 'em up. It's 2-player co-op.
Yeah, I'm giving it credit. Beat 'em up.
It is definitely a beat 'em up, and it's not awful. It really isn't that bad. It's not great. It's not the most polished game, but it's a hell of a lot better than the Karate Kid on the NES ever was.
Yeah,
like
wasn't
Ninja
that Stranger
Savior.
Things game a beat 'em up too?
Which one?
That'll beat 'em up. Stranger Things 3, the game.
I don't know. Was it?
Did that come out just for the iOS, like the phone?
Well, no, it came out on Switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was a beat 'em up too.
I'm
gonna
gonna
look that up.
I'm gonna have to buy that. Ninja Savior is a really good Switch beat 'em up too.
It is a good one.
I have that physical, Eric. I'm probably gonna give it to you at some point in my life.
And honestly, I'm gonna still sit here and say that the best beat 'em up is Streets of Rage 4.
I got the keychain right behind me. Yeah, Streets of Rage 4.
There's no better beat 'em up for the console for me personally.
No better.
There's I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's a game that's pretty good that's a beat 'em up that came out on the Switch. It's an indie game. Shit, what is the name of that game? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Let's see.
I know a lot of them too. So
beat 'em up games.
There's one called the Takeover that's very much like a Streets of Rage.
I have the Takeover. It's fantastic. I actually
it's really good.
It's amazing. That's a great game.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the name of this game?
River City Girls is a really good game. Highly recommend.
I still need to play that.
It's expensive, man. We were at that gaming convention a few weeks ago, man, and some guy was selling it. Dude, it was like he was trying to sell physical for at least $120 or something like that. I saw. I was like, what the heck?
This game is on my collector's app somewhere, so I will find it because it's gonna. If I don't find the name of this game, it's gonna drive me crazy. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, now you've got me curious.
Ooh, nice, Nicholas. Kingston just found Streets of Rage 2.
Quarterback Club. Wow, that's a good find.
Good little hunting right there.
I'm just gonna grab it. I'll be right back.
For those just joining in who just heard Matt say, "I'm just gonna grab it," and then hop off.
We're just leaving it there.
I love beat 'em ups. Like it's really my favorite like genre. Like I'm so excited for Christmas time to put in some like Batman and Batman Returns to just like play. Like, it's such a fun like genre.
Okay,
man, you're a quick finish, Matt.
I found it.
Wow.
It's called Wolverblade.
I was about to say that one next. That's
never played it.
Wolverblade. This game is awesome, and you can play it with up to 2 people, and it is a very violent beat 'em up game, and it's awesome.
Okay,
it's what Assassin's Creed Valhalla wanted to probably try to be.
Yeah. And how sick is that cover? I don't know how you guys can see
that shine on it.
Hey, let me take a photo of that. I'm gonna buy that right when we get off this podcast.
Are you taking a picture of Matt's screen? You know, Riff from Pixel Gaze guy. He just texted me a close up of my face.
What other?
Because I shaved today.
Nice.
So the Jay and Silent Bob beat 'em up is amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't played
10
that
out
one.
of 10. If you're a Mallrats fan, you have to play. It's so fun.
I
have the Jay yellow NES cart from Limited Run. That's awesome.
Nice.
That's sick.
So yeah,
Coffee Crisis.
Yeah,
that's another one.
Yeah. It's made by Mad Cats, I think is maybe.
Yeah, I need that game, man. I'm a coffee addict. I need that
Coffee
game.
Crisis is awesome. I got it for the Genesis cart, and then I was
cool.
It's really awesome.
Do you have it on the Switch?
I have it on the Switch and I have it on Genesis.
If you ever part ways with that game, man, don't take it to the store. So hit me up.
Now I'm just going through my beat 'em ups on Switch right now that I have.
So the moral of the story
there's
is,
so many of them.
Yeah, the moral of the story is if you're a fan of beat 'em ups, the Switch is a great console for beat 'em ups. And not only that, the Switch has also become a great console for RPG fans, especially JRPG fans. There are so many RPG games on the Switch. It's insane.
I could start pulling it out if you want me to.
Well, let's not do that, Eric. I don't want to get banned from YouTube from you pulling it out. I mean, you're going to have to get really close to the camera, though, for anybody to be able to see it. So, yeah, I hope you got a macro lens.
I actually don't know if I do. No, I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
And you bought it for that reason too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So so we kind of got off topic, but that's okay because it was awesome talking about beat 'em ups on the GameCube and the Switch, and that was, that's one thing I love about doing this podcast is you never know where the conversation might go, what kind of topics that we had no intention of talking about might come up, and that was an awesome one, and now I want to play a damn beat 'em up game. So, but let's go ahead, let's start to close this out real quick. Let's go through the panel and let you guys tell people where they can find you on YouTube, social media, all that good stuff. Anything else you want to plug, upcoming videos, whatever, before we close out the podcast, and we'll go clockwise, starting with GameCube Galaxy.
All right. So, like when we did the introduction, you can find my channel. You can just look up GameCube Galaxy. I just launched the channel 6 months ago. I've got about 25 videos roughly on the channel. I've covered a variety of topics, top 10s. Lately, been doing a lot of reviews. Actually, this Sunday, I'm trying to stick with the October theme of like spooky games, but not do the traditional ones. So the last 2 weeks, I did Luigi's Mansion I reviewed. Last week I reviewed Spawn Armageddon. This upcoming Sunday I'm going to be doing a review for Geist.
Oh, nice.
And
fantastic game.
Great game. Has some issues, but I'll mention that in the review. But it is a very, very unique game. It's a one-of-a-kind experience for sure.
Remember? Did you remember the chick in the shower?
That was so funny. I'm playing the game, and because honestly, this week was the first time I ever played it to its entirety.
Yeah.
And when I got to that scene, I'm like, no. I'm like, am I watching Porky's? Like, what on earth going on? And I'm like, I look at the box. I'm like, Nintendo published this. Like, this is like, this is like when Nintendo was edgy, but like, and I miss that Nintendo. I do. Yeah. But that being said, that scene I was laughing because I was just like, I did not see that happening.
Mm-hmm. And then when you scare,
man, that was a really funny scene. I was not expecting that. But yeah, so like I figured I'd maybe review you guys something a little different. I was trying to avoid like the typical Resident Evil games. I really wanted to, but it's like I feel like right now whatever I'm going to say has already been said, and I didn't want to really fall into that.
Yeah.
I do plan on reviewing Eternal Darkness. My goal is to review Eternal Darkness for my in-depth review of that one on Halloween.
Dude, I'm doing the same thing.
Are you really?
I'm doing the exact same. I was talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Collab video.
So that's awesome. We should definitely both drop that on Halloween. I think that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
As a matter of fact, if you're planning on doing that, when I'll record it, I'll mention in the video that you should have a review out of it too, and kind of do some cross promotion.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll definitely mention that. That's awesome. Yeah. And then actually just to wrap up with my side of that, and then next month I'm planning on doing a GameCube 20th anniversary video for November 18th on the launch of the GameCube for North America.
Sweet.
And I have a few channels collaborating to share some of their memories with the console, as well as going over the history of the brief history of the console, and covering every single launch title that released in the launch window of the GameCube from November 18th up until basically that Christmas. Wow. Of 2001. So that's definitely going to be a bigger video that I'm focusing on. I may have to take like a week or two break after Halloween to focus on that video and make sure I get that one out. So, but yeah, you can check out my channel. You can check me out on Instagram. I have Instagram, GameCube Galaxy, Twitter. You can check me out at GameCube Galaxy there. This way you guys don't miss anything I'm posting in terms of new content or even just fun tidbits about the GameCube.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Retro Gaming Pandemic, whoever wants to go, or actually let's start with Eric if you want to plug your Instagram. Eric.
Yeah, so I am one half of Retro Gaming Pandemic. The other one is to my right next to me there. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Cup of Retro. Our videos air normally Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everything from pickups videos to live hunting videos out in the wild. We go to flea markets, swap meets, whatever you call them, video game stores, conventions. We even went to a Renaissance festival, which ended up at a swap meet anyway. So
Jared was balls deep in a turkey leg in that video too.
Jared was balls deep in multiple turkey legs, and then played the what was it, the hammer game where you try to hit the bell, and he could. Yeah, lost on the kids version, might I add. He couldn't do the adult version, so they let him do the kids one, which is about like 4 feet high, and he hit it and it went halfway there.
But then he hit it. Didn't he hit it a second time and get the bell?
He had a 50% success rate. So but yes. Yeah, we have our podcast dropping tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called the Cup of Retro Show. We're going to be diving in with a couple of our channel regulars, talking about should we keep remaking retro video games. So that's our conversation tomorrow. Lots to talk about, especially with like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl coming out soon.
Yeah.
Kind of what sparked the conversation there were those two games. I'm sorry, I'm watching my cat chase her tail right now. It's hilarious.
My only plug is we're 2 subscribers shy of 300. Yeah. So if there's 2 people in this thread right now watching, like, please subscribe to our channel. Yes. I promise you will love our content. I take very, very good pride in making high professional content, editing everything, filming. Eric crushes it behind the camera. So definitely check out our videos, hunting videos. We have ranking videos. We're about to launch this podcast. It's very high quality, though. I promise you. You'll think you're watching Netflix or like History Channel. So I take pride in that.
And we just started. We're only 2 months young.
2 months. So, 2 months young.
We just hit our 10th episode last week. So
we've delivered for the last 10 weeks. So
yeah, we're giving you weekly content, and that's the goal. And shout out to my wife Hannah as well. She can't be here with us today, but she's the third part of the team, and
she really is.
She's our graphic designer, edits as well, and has been in the videos. And if you want to see more of Matt make a fool of himself on camera, we have a third of our videos actually feature Matt in them. So.
He's the unofficial member of our squad. And our last video is our Tennessee trip, visiting him in Chattanooga, part 1. So definitely subscribe and check us out. And then a week from tomorrow, we're going to launch part 2, which features both Matt and Retro Beard in Nashville.
Oh, does that mean Eric? Does that mean the thing?
No, yes, 100%.
Yes. For the guy that's editing it, which is me,
spoil it, Jared.
Which is why I have not finished Metroid Dread, because I edit videos also. Yes, Matt, that is going to come up.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to edit after this video.
You're going to see me, let's just say, at the lowest point of my life, both figuratively and literally. So,
it's hilarious.
It will be a fun. Hey, hilarious. At least Jared farted on camera the last episode, and I caught that.
GameCube Galaxy, we're gonna follow you if we haven't already. And
we already do, brother.
Cool.
Yeah, I already verified I was subscribed to you guys, because I remember Matt reached out to me when you guys were launching the channel, and he's like, "Hey, give these guys a follow." I'm like, "Yep, no problem."
Awesome.
I was going to say, I love when you and Matt do collaboration videos together because you guys know so freaking much about the GameCube, and it's so great to hear both perspectives.
Thank you. And honestly, like, I'm really glad that I was able to like actually get to meet Matt. And you know, back when I launched the channel, Matt's been supporting me since I think it was my first video. There was somebody, it was a buddy of mine on Twitter that was asking if I knew about Retro Wolf, and I'm like, no, I don't. But you know, send me his channel. I want to see his stuff. But yeah, Matt's been a big supporter of my channel, and you know, I've been very grateful for the opportunities he's given me for collabs. I think it's been a lot of fun. It's been really cool. And I got to meet you guys through him. So it's been really awesome, really awesome. And just one more thing I want to add quickly too is that I actually have a special video I'm doing that's separate. I'm actually going to be doing an AMA video for the first time.
That's exciting.
Just hit 500 subs on the channel today. So as part of that, I'm doing a special AMA video. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm telling anybody, just shoot me anything you want to know about either me or the channel. And I'm also doing a giveaway opportunity, which I will be announcing in that video what that will be.
Nice. Yeah, dude, you'll enjoy doing Q&A, ANA type video, AMA. It's fun, man. It's fun, and you can get crazy with it too, depending on what people ask you. It's a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna do another one. I did one when I hit 2,000. I'm gonna do another one when I hit 5,000. So it's probably gonna be a long time because I don't see myself hitting 5,000 anytime soon. But
fake news, you'll get it, brother.
Yeah, bro. Your channel's doing really well.
Thanks,
and rightfully so.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And I want to vouch for all of these guys. If you're in the audience and you haven't checked out GameCube Galaxy or Retro Gaming Pandemic, you're really missing out. If you love the GameCube, you're gonna love GameCube Galaxy's channel. Even if you don't know anything about the GameCube and you've never really experienced it, it's a great place to go to learn about the GameCube. And after you watch some of his videos, you may want to get into it. Although you better get your wallet ready. That's all I'm gonna say, which is a shame. There are ways to get into it though without having to buy the games. I'll just say that.
We'll leave it there. But if you're gonna get into it, the first game you're gonna get is Gacha Force. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
Just get the most expensive game out of the way.
Yeah. Agreed. Get it out of the way.
Just get it done.
Out of the way. And then of course, if you love hunting and pickup videos, you're gonna love Retro Gaming Pandemic because, as Jared said, their videos are super high quality, awesome production values, awesome editing, just the whole 9 yards. They're knocking it out of the park from the beginning.
Thank you.
It's really kind of blowing my mind, you guys. Like, not very many brand new YouTubers are coming out of the gate as high quality as you guys are. So you're really doing something special, and I can't wait to see where the channel goes. Now, as far as myself, I got Sunday. I've got a convention recap video coming out. I went to Mo Game Con a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And it's Missouri Gaming Convention.
That was with Do You Nerd and Got G.
Yep, was hanging out with Do You Nerd, Gaming Off the Grid, Captain Algebra, and Peter from Waves and Games. And there were other YouTubers there, like John Riggs was there and some other people. So I'm doing my recap video. My recap video is going to drop Sunday. Well, maybe. I've got a freaking copyright claim that I'm disputing right now. So as long as I can get that copyright claim cleared, then the video will come out Sunday. But if not, it might be delayed a little bit. But so yeah, it's a longer video because it is a full recap, and I go over my pickups from the convention. But I tried to make the video entertaining, and I try to take you guys on a journey with me and let you kind of relive some of my experiences. So there's a lot of footage of our silliness at the Airbnb because we all got an Airbnb together. So, nice. You know, it was pretty wild. Like the last night we ordered 100 White Castle burgers. So that was something.
That's money well spent.
Yeah. The next day was interesting. Let's just say that. So yeah, I've got that recap video coming. There is a pretty good chance that on Wednesday there will be a very, very entertaining video, which is basically the top 100 Mama Retro quotes. This video is just
Mama Retro.
Yeah, this video is literally just going to be the best 100 quotes across all the Mama Retro videos I've ever released, back to back, rapid fire with no context at all, and it's going to be hilarious. So
nice.
stay tuned for that. And that's going to be some cross promotion to try to get more people over to the Mama Retro channel, because we're trying to get the Mama Retro channel to 100 subs. So if you want to check that out, go on YouTube and do a search for Mama Retro. It should also be in the description of this live stream as well, the channel link for that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've got coming down the pipeline in the immediate future anyways. But don't even worry about me. I want you guys in the audience to check these guys out, because this at GameCube Galaxy, I really appreciate what you were saying earlier, man, because that's what it's all about. We're a community, and one of the things that I love about and we're about to close out the podcast, I just want to end it with this. One of the things that I love about the gaming community, well, this gaming community, so like the game collecting community, the retro gaming community, one of the things I love about this community is I would say 95% of us just want to help each other out. We're not 100%. Looking at each other as competition. We're trying to share our audiences with each other, because there's plenty of people out there for all of us to watch our videos, and we can share our audiences with each other. We can help each other out. We can promote each other. And you know, we're all just great friends. Most of the people in this community get along great. There's not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of negativity. Not to say that it doesn't, not to say that it doesn't exist, because it does, unfortunately, but I just ignore most of it. But it's a great community. I love it. You guys are awesome. GameCube Galaxy, thank you so much for joining this live stream, dude. It was awesome to have you join in on the discussion, and I definitely want to have you back whenever we do the GameCube episode, and we're just going to talk about the GameCube the whole time, dude. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, dude, well,
that handle.
Yeah, that handle. The whole handle. You know what? I might challenge myself when we do that episode. I might challenge myself to see if I can hold a GameCube up by the handle the entire time on camera.
So let's do this. If you do that, I'll take mine and I'll just keep flexing. I'll just keep flexing up. I'll just see how long I can keep doing that for the entire podcast while I'll start trying to talk.
Hey, as somebody that has actually worked out with GameCubes in a video, I know how that goes. Trust me. So
it's because of that I have to invest in more.
Yeah, you gotta have at least two, because you like dumbbells, man. You gotta have one for each arm, All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
And I hope you guys have a great evening. I hope everybody in the audience has a great evening and a great weekend. And we will catch you all in the next one. Later.
Take care, guys.
Happy hunting.
Peace.